during qualifying, NBC said you were a free agent. I just was curious if that was true, because Joe Gibbs at Pocono said that he expected you to return to the team. So I was just wondering if they were just making some noise, or do you intend to be back at Joe Gibbs Racing in 2024?
I intend to, for sure. It's what I want. I think it's what Joe wants. But, I think there's just a lot of factors that are out of both of mine and his hands. So, again, it's if I didn't own a team, I don't think it would be done by now. But there's just a lot of different factors that play into it, whether we can get it done or not. So, all you hope is that, this late in the season, everyone's putting their best foot forward to, compromise and come up with the right deal that's good for everyone.
We saw this, and again, it's a different situation with Kyle Busch last year, in that the expectation was to be back, and then things suddenly changed. When you're talking about working out things with Toyota, it sounds like, is there a possibility that something may change there, or how confident do you feel in that sense? Because I'm kind of hearing something. I just want to make sure I'm not leading into it.
Yeah, I'm not trying to insinuate anything for sure, but I think that I'm happy at Joe Gibbs Racing, and Joe is happy with me. I think that certainly the Kyle situation last year, Kyle's ask was what his ask, and that he needed, Joe Gibbs needed sufficient funding on the car to do it. From the day one, to give you inside baseball, Joe said, I could have zero sponsorship on your car. It doesn't matter. We want you, and this is what we're going to do. So, it's different in that sense. I know it's easy to draw parallels because you hear a lot of, that I'm saying some things Kyle said, Joe's saying the very similar things, but there's just more factors in play than just us, for sure.
So you feel good that your company will be with 2311. I mean, will be with Toyota next year then.
Say again.
That 2311 will be with Toyota next year.
We're working on it. We certainly are very happy with Toyota. They've been great to me and helped me get this team off the ground. I've won the bulk of my races with their cars, so I feel like it's a partnership that should continue.
Okay, I had a couple other quick questions before that.
Yep.
You talked about how you got better at this type of racing, and Bubba qualified 12th today, which is one of his better efforts. It's second best effort this year on a road course. Certainly, he's talked about he still has challenges that he has to face. How have you seen him progress, and are there things that you're able to work with him on, or as an owner, you just have to let your athlete do things their way?
We have an advantage that I am a driver, and so we're different than other organizations where I don't want to step on any toes and try to overload them with, hey, this is what's worked for me, because it's very easy. They could easily rebut, well, yeah, that's you and that's not me, right? But if you have a recipe for what is being successful, you're crazy not to look at it. So I think it's a benefit, and really for that team over there, they've got a third car, because I'm very transparent with what I look at and what I feel like I've made improvements on. And I think with Bubba, I'm seeing improvements, but it takes a long time. Like I said, while the results have not showed it, I think I heard someone say we haven't finished in the top 10 on a road course in the next gen. I mean, that's just crazy. I didn't think anyone was faster than us in the dry at Chicago. You didn't see us because we were in the teens, because I ran so terrible in the wet. So we're making progression, and we're really advancing, but sometimes you don't see it because of all the other stuff and storylines going on. But internally, we know that we're getting better, and I know that Bubba is getting better because I'm seeing it. So he's putting in the work. He has the drive to be better, and I'm happy with the progression that he's making.
And last thing is, Goodyear talked with them today. A new tire at Bristol. They're looking at pointing in a direction. It looks like a new tire for Martinsville and a new tire for Phoenix. Mm-hmm. You've been around long enough that it used to be in the playoffs, nothing changed. And now you're looking at a cutoff race in Bristol, another potential cutoff race, Martinsville having to change, and the championship race. What's your thoughts about just that idea, and how much is this much of a game changer with those three races and tire changes?
I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea. I mean, yes, it's tougher on the teams because their notebook's not going to be exactly the same, but it's going to be close enough. It really will be. And then it's who can adapt. The best teams will show up and adapt quicker than the others. So if they think it's a better tire, I applaud it, and never wait to put up, never too long to make the right decision. If it's better, if it truly is better, then, I don't care if we test it or not, just put it on. Yeah.
We're going to go to Bob and then wrap with Zach.
Bob Parkhurst, Fox Sports. Only 3 of the 10 drivers who made it to the final round don't have a win this year. I'm curious how much, do you think there'll be a new winner tomorrow? And what have you advised Bubba as far as, points versus wins? Are you telling him, like, look, you got to think that you're going to have to win one of these next 2?
Yeah, I certainly think that they're going to try to approach it that way. Daytona is a race where you just kind of you budget for someone new winning, and if they don't, then you're ahead of budget. So you have to just plan on someone being there. So from Bubba's standpoint, it's probably not realistic for him to jump up in points to the next guy. So he probably sees that as he needs to win. However, you can't throw that away, making a crazy mistake, and then, no one goes and wins here or Daytona, and then you've blown the points lead that you had over 17th. So I think you still have to just race smart, and if you get unlucky, then you get unlucky. But it's not just about these 2 races. This is we run 25 or 26 in the regular season. There's 26, and they all are the same. And so race 3 meant just as much as this one. It just does. So, we're talking about 5 points here, 10 points there. Like, there's opportunities. That's why it's so hard in the Cup Series, because you have to be good the entire regular season. And if you're not, you're going to find yourself on the bubble most years.
We'll go ahead and wrap with Zach.
Zach Sterniolo, NASCAR.com. Denny, you touched on this a little bit earlier, but being on pole, Martin Truex is starting 19th tomorrow. How do you capitalize as the 11 team to chop into that the battle for the regular season championship?
Win the stages and then start from there. You just try to do everything you can to dictate the beginning of the race. If we can do that, then I think we'll be okay. I feel confident in the speed of my car, so it's up to me. It doesn't mean I'm going to be able to do that. I still think that there's the top 10. There's maybe 7 better road course drivers overall. Putting all laps together, speed and all that. But I think track position is the biggest factor over all that. So it's up to me to make sure I execute the beginning of the race and then set the tone from there. Have good pit stops, have good strategy, and then let's just see where we're at. I just want if we can have a shot at Martin at Daytona, get this thing within a reasonable number, then I think the pressure shifts. And then while we do that, if we can hold serve with a 24 and keep him 40 some back from us, then it lets me race freely at Daytona and go after stages and stuff like that. And if we crash, it doesn't matter.
And then regarding Bubba, how valuable is it from an owner's perspective to have had him at least get some experience in the owners' playoff last year and going through that process, despite the fact that he hasn't been in the drivers' playoffs himself yet?
Mm-hmm. Well, honestly, it's not valuable to us because he's out on the owners, so it's not valuable to us. It's valuable to him. I think him carrying the team last year in that 45 car through those last 10 races gave him the confidence in my mind that he can carry a team and be the leader of a team in a playoff race. So I think I hope that he makes it. I hope we make it as well. So he's racing for the both of us. But either way, I'm going to be super happy for him if he can get in the playoffs because I think he's a good enough driver and he's motivated enough to make noise.
Nathan Solomon with a podium finish. Denny, this is your 3rd pole on a road course this year. Why do you think you've been so strong qualifying on road courses?
I'm putting a lot of work in for sure to get better at them. I think the first step to getting better is you got to find a way to run fast for a lap, and then you got to figure out how to make it repetitive. And so I think this is part of the process that I talked about early in the year about getting better. We're seeing progression on getting faster at road courses, which is good. Then it's just up to me to start to do it for multiple laps.
And is that just a lot of sim stuff, or how do you approach
It
that
is.
aspect?
I mean, it's sim stuff. It's really kind of breaking a lot of stuff down, and really the teams that I work with, they're the ones that help me get quite a bit better.
And then, with Watkins Glen in particular, your only road course win came here. How well does this place suit you?
It suits me well. I think it's probably the least technical of all the road courses. Obviously, they call it kind of the super speedway of road courses. I think like Tyler Reddick, for instance, so his skill set on road courses doesn't really play a huge benefit. The way he attacks them doesn't really pay a huge dividend here at this racetrack. So I think, you see more unconventional guys run up front here because it's not, quite as technical as the others. So I just think that it's pretty straightforward. I've got so many laps here that I certainly feel comfortable. And obviously my car today's got speed.
We'll go to Holly, then Jerry, then Chris.
Holly Kane with the NASCAR Wire Service. Hey, Denny, congratulations. What are you expecting out of this race with a couple of races left to set things up? Do you expect people to be more cautious and behaved than normal because they've got several of them have so much on the line? Or do you expect it to get a little bit wacko out there?
It really depends on how many cautions we have. I think that, if you have a bunch of cautions, then yeah, typically you can see something crazy, but you can't win it from the third row. So it's, it just kind of depends. I think it's pretty straightforward. Qualifying was going to be big today. Setting the pace will be big. But yeah, I think that certainly, races like last week is what we have when you don't have stage cautions, right? And understandably, I think that sometimes we get spoiled into thinking that a lot of road courses got so hyped back in the day because we had so many green-white checkers and wacky stuff going on because of the late race cautions. When you really look at the race and when it goes green, how wacky can you be from 5 car lengths back? You really can't. It's more of a storyline than it is actually on the racetrack. So I don't expect any surprises tomorrow.
We'll go to Jerry, then to Chris, then to Dustin, then Bob.
Jerry Jordan, KickingTheTires.net. Looking forward to next week. Your stress level, is it knowing that you're locked in, you don't have to worry about Daytona? How much lower is it going into a race like Daytona, knowing all of that and just trying to get through to make it to the next week for the playoffs?
Yeah, I think really we have a stress-free couple weeks here. Certainly we need to watch our position with Byron over the next couple weeks. With us getting the pole now and Martin not making it, can we make that regular season thing a battle? Maybe, if we go out and score a bunch of points early. So we're still racing for something, but the biggest thing is more bonus points. And there's only a couple ways we can do it, and that's getting a win, getting stage wins, or getting a regular season, moving up one spot. So that's our goals. Like last week, although we ran, it was the happiest 19th place finish ever because we got a stage win. And it's like we left the track with something that will go for the rest of the season. So we're going to try to do that again tomorrow.
And putting your owner's hat on, Bubba being in 16th, what are the odds of him making it from your perspective, and how big would that be for you guys?
Yeah, I'm so caught up in the driving stuff today. I didn't know where people behind him have qualified, where they're at versus him. So I just think that they just have to execute. They can't look at whatever someone else is doing, who they're racing. They just have to execute the best they possibly can. And if they do that, then I think they'll have a good shot.